everyone. We will go ahead and start our regular scheduled meeting. Call to order, and first we'll start off with the invocation. Chief, could you help us with that?
Welcome, everyone. If you'll bow your heads with me. Almighty God, we just thank you for our community, Lord. We thank you for those who are in our presence tonight. We thank you for those who are listening out in the community. Lord, I pray that you would just be with the governing body tonight, that you would guide their decisions as they listen and try to do what's best for our community. Lord, be with us all, protect our community, keep us safe, and in your name we pray, amen.
Amen, thank you. Now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mr. Thron?
Here.
Mrs. Feeback? Mr. Grant?
Here.
Mr. Delgado?
Here.
Mr. Savage?
Here.
Mayor, we do have a quorum present.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, we have the approval of the agenda. Do we have any requested changes for tonight or any questions on the agenda? If not, I will entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0-0. Next up is announcements and reports. I don't necessarily have any announcements or reports tonight. PJ, do you have anything for us?
I have no reports right now.
The only thing I have, I know I told you guys, we're planning on doing a back-to-school free haircut event. Some things happened that we're gonna have to push that back to next year. That'll give us more time to prepare and make sure we get everything ready to go.
All right, thank you.
No report?
Mike?
No report.
All right. Spencer, any report?
No report.
Lane?
No report.
Rhonda?
I'll report.
Break the cycle.
Yeah, I'll be very quick though. Just want to remind everyone that First Fridays are going to start here in just a couple more weeks. Friday, May 1st will be the first one. We're looking at Cinco de Mayo and some things like that. The community is really working together. And we hope everyone will come out 5:30 to 8:30 in downtown Spring Hill.
Thank you. Glenda?
No report, thank you.
All right. Jacob?
Just a quick update on an item that was discussed at the last meeting concerning a street light or lack thereof around 191st and Skyview. Since the last meeting, staff has continued to talk with Evergy about the installation of that light. I don't have the final design and therefore final price for that yet, but once we do, the city plans to move ahead with authorizing Evergy to put that light in to fund both the installation cost as well as the ongoing energy consumption and maintenance costs that we pay for every street light in the city every month.
Okay, perfect. The other thing at that neighborhood and intersection, we are still looking at crosswalk options, so hopefully there'll be something we can come up with some options here in the near future. I know that neighborhood's been asking for those two things here for a while. Allison?
You know I'm going to be looking for funding for that. So stay tuned on the
We'll figure
crosswalk.
that out, yeah.
I'll figure that out. Did want to give you an update. Another thing that was brought up in a previous meeting was the what's that? Woodland Crossing sidewalk. So the contractor has been issued a permit. They were waiting on weather. We contacted them this past week, and they are going to be moving forward with that. So we'll continue working with the contractor to get that that sidewalk in.
Okay, thank you. Is there a timeline, or is it just?
They have not given us a timeline specifically. They're waiting on getting some subcontractors and materials ordered. The thing that I do want to point out is since they do have a permit, they were required to submit performance and maintenance bonds. So if they don't do the work, then we do have the bonds to go and do the work ourselves.
Okay, great. So we have a little bit of teeth on that. Good, thank you. Mike?
Just wanted to call your attention to one thing. There was a bill, Senate Bill 418, that was signed into law by the governor, which is essentially kind of nicknamed the Buy Right Housing bill, and has a lot of ramifications for how we bring things forward to you and how we're going to have to process applications and zoning and all those sorts of things. And so I'm going to set up a meeting with Spencer and Lane to talk about how that's going to impact our code, what changes are going to be necessary for us to be compliant with that. But just wanted to make you aware of that. And if you do have a chance to go look at it, it's available online at the Secretary of State's website, I believe. And yeah, so
The highlights for that is what it kind of monitors timing for response from us,
it
along with
monitors-
giving them the ability to kind of go down zoning without needing approval from us. Is that what it is?
Yeah, essentially removes a lot of the discretionary approvals for single-family houses. So any zoning district that allows any residential land uses would automatically allow single-family homes. And it shortened, so it may remove some of our processes entirely, or we may need to kind of tweak our processes in order to be compliant, and really see how this would impact, a planned development district or anything like that, and also how it could impact, small townhome communities, duplex, threeplex, up to a certain number of dwelling units is also not subject to any discretionary review. So we're still trying to get our heads wrapped around the full implications of this right now.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be good to present at one of these meetings so that the whole community kind of can understand where our hands are tied and what we can do to kind of protect ourselves. So thanks for that update. What was that number again? It was 418?
418, Senate Bill 418.
Okay. And that was signed by the governor?
It was, I believe, on Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew there was a lot that she vetoed, so I wasn't sure what was approved and what wasn't
Yep.
based off the list I saw. But, all right, thank you. Chief?
Thank you. Yeah, just wanted to let the community know that on the 18th of April, we'll be having a coffee with a cop at the Bean, but also we'll be doing kind of a golf cart UTV information session, combining it. So if you have questions about, UTVs or golf carts and how they can be used, and if you even want to bring your golf cart or UTV downtown, we'll even take a look at it, make sure that you're within the ordinance and that you're not going to have any problems as you're out having fun on these vehicles this summer. So take advantage of that and just look for more information on social media. We'll do a reminder early next week to let people know that's coming up.
All right, great. Thank you. Well, Keisha, we missed you. Do you have anything for us? All right, thanks. All right, I think that's everybody. Did I miss anyone? Last call for announcements and reports. We will now move on to citizen participation. We have quite a few names on here, so we'll go ahead and start with Kurt Vanderpool. Please come on up, state your name and address for us. And
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name's Kurt Vanderpool, 20012 South Country View Terrace, out in Spring Hill, just out off 199th Street. I just want to first start off by saying thank you for your service to our community. I appreciate what y'all do. I know it can be thankless sometimes being in leadership and decision-making place. It can be, the buck stops there and sometimes it's not always comfortable. So I appreciate what y'all are doing. I also want to say thank you for the work that I think is being done on this comprehensive plan. I was at the meeting last Thursday. I appreciate what the Planning Commission is doing and what city staff are doing also in moving along with trying to get a good comprehensive plan going forward. I think it's critical that we as a community take a proactive approach, not be reactive. This last couple of months has caused some consternation in the community. It's caused some hurt. It's caused some distrust. I want to see all that wiped away. I'm excited to participate in the comprehensive plan. I'm excited for the opportunity. I'm going to make sure I get all my friends that live in the community to be a part of that as well. And I just really, I hope that we take a very forward-looking approach to how we can market Spring Hill to businesses, to the proper type of development, so we're not reacting to what might be coming our way. I don't want to continue to see news stories about battling against City Hall, battling against the zoning. I want to see news stories. I want to be a part of a news story that says, look at what this community is doing. Look at how they are getting the collaboration between the citizens and the chamber and the mayor and city staff. They're collaborating and they're building something for the future. That's what we all want. And I just want to encourage Y'all to just continue to keep that in mind. I know times get tough and the decisions are looming, but I'm excited to see what can happen going forward. So thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. And I agree, tell everybody you know, because it's only gonna help us get the most information we can if everybody does that, so thank you. Next up, Michael Klutz.
Hello, Michael Klutz, 18512 West 194th Street. Just to kind of echo, I appreciate what you guys are doing. It's not a high-paying job, we all know that, right? So you're giving up time to be here, families, friends, just your personal time. And I appreciate that. I've had a chance to speak to a couple of you personally, and I appreciate the time. So starting off, I was actually going to talk about kind of the crosswalk. I know Jason talked about it. The lighting, you guys are already on top of that, which is good. I would ask kind of on that 91st Street, I don't know what goes into it, speed reduction possibly, if there's a traffic study. I know in front of Wolf Creek Elementary, the speed was reduced last year, 2 years ago. I think it could go down a little bit more there, but definitely in front of the Foxwood, you know, as you look into the crosswalks and everything. And I would ask that you treat that with some urgency, because student safety just has to be, you know, number one. So next part I'm going to kind of read, just so I don't get it wrong. It's regarding the legal contract. So there's a little bit of a structural concern regarding the city's contract with Hush Blackwell. I'm not here pointing fingers. I just want that to be known at local staff or our attorney. My concern is just about the language in the firm's contract. The agreement includes a broad advance conflict waiver that allows the firm to represent clients whose interest might be adverse to the city. And it's a little concerning because they're a large firm, right? And this is what they do. Because firms that scale, they do represent clients in industries like data centers, Hot Topic, same with utilities. And I think agreeing to these terms without independent outside review, I think it leaves us structurally vulnerable as a city, and I think that matters. So all I'm really asking is to consider establishing a simple process for independent legal review and conflict disclosure before we make any major like industrial changes. So I think that's a logical ask personally. I think it's worth looking into. So lastly, so more so on like procedural transparency. I was looking back, and I'm new to the community. I moved here in November, so I wasn't here back in October, you know, October 23rd. Everything kind of, it went, voting, everything kind of went by the wayside, what I've learned. But going back to that ordinance 2025-19, there wasn't really, what I could find, any public discussion or debate before the motion and vote that I could find. Maybe I'm wrong. I just know that fast votes can create an appearance gap between how they come about, and it kind of gives a perception of a rubber stamp, and I think that can really harm psychologically a community. And I just ask that, you know, be mindful of that when it comes to those kind of situations. And really all I have besides that is just, I just hope, and obviously you are, continue taking the comments to heart. You know, we all care deeply about our homes. We all live here. You know, I'm new to the community, but this is our dream home. So this is where we want to be, and we don't want to go anywhere else. So my wife teaches at the schools. My kids go there. I mean, we came from Olathe, just a little south, but it's nice out here. And I think we have a great opportunity, and hopefully you all can be our leadership for a long time and can really set an example for what to do and grow the city with a comprehensive plan and just do things the right way. Okay, so that's all I had. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got Sarah Grady.
Hello, my name is Sarah Grady, and I live at 15690 West 199th Street. And I had something I wanted to discuss briefly. From last week's meeting, we learned about potentially the creation of 3 zoning districts for the industrial MP, M1, and M2. And with M1 being general industrial, similar to what I guess right now we have kind of an umbrella industrial zoning, but it would be compatible with residential or generally compatible with residential and commercial activity. And the new zoning would be M2, which is generally not compatible. So my interpretation is that just based on what I know about information systems centers or data centers, that it would fall under the M2, generally not compatible. I guess I'm curious what the council and Mayor, your thought may be on that. Or if this will go to a vote going forward, or if it's just once these zoning districts are voted on and created, is it just how it lands, whatever it is? Or I'm just curious if there are going to be more votes, I guess, going forward over what will directly fall under that. I know that, it was mentioned that a data center may look like a building with no windows. Maybe there's not production going on, which I do get that is one part of what could be a heavy industrial is you're creating products, but there's also other factors that go into a data center that would not be compatible with residential or commercial use. So those are just my thoughts. I just don't know what the process would be for determining where that particular item would fall under the new zoning. And the last thing is Spring Hill is a smaller sized community, a rural community. We all know that growth is inevitable, yes, and growth can be good and is good. The growth that, I think Spring Hill wants to see are, restaurants, activities for families, keep the teens in the area, and just really enjoying our community as a whole, where we can all enjoy the town, the people, and the area as a group, and, continue to grow our green space. But, industrial growth around our schools, around our neighborhoods, around our homes are, it's just something that I don't think Spring Hill needs to be a part of. But thank you all for your time and the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thanks. Yeah, none of the zonings have been voted on. That'll come to the planning commission, I believe, with recommendations. They'll be able to make a recommendation to us and then it'll be voted on. So it's got a little ways to go. It's not anything that's been set in stone yet. Those are just what we've projected so far of what they could be. Next up is Tammy Knoll.
My name is Tammy Knoll, and I live at 19440 West 202nd Street. I wrote down some notes because last week I was just speaking off the cuff.
Yeah.
So, thank you for inviting the community and speaking and saying that you desire our input. I really appreciate that. I did want to say that I saw some recent results of the population growth here in Spring Hill. And I was really quite excited to learn that Spring Hill is actually the fastest growing city in the state of Kansas right now. And we are growing at a rate of 4.65% year over year. And that's exciting and it's huge. We're also getting to the cusp of hitting that 10,000 people population-wise. And this 10,000 number population tends to be the number that a lot of restaurants look at and they decide whether or not they're going to come into a community. And so we are right at that. These are the type of businesses that need to be invited into our community, businesses that will promote community. And the other factor that I found very interesting when I was kind of doing some research was that the median age of our community is 35 years old. And so what that indicates to me is that we are a community, we are a city of young families with young children. And so that crosses over into the importance of our school district and how we want to keep our school district at the top. We are number 17 in the state of Kansas, the top rated school districts. and we are in the top 20% nationally. And these are some of the things that attract families to Spring Hill. And these are also the things that will keep our home values stable. And again, attract families. My concern when I hear last week at the joint committee meeting, when I hear language that talks about buildings, housing, computers are quiet and they have little impact, it's very concerning because we know that data centers are not quiet, and we know that data centers have huge impacts on the community. It has issues with noise, with water treatment plant damage due to the contamination and the chemicals that are coming off of the computers and going back into our water system. That contaminates the water treatment centers and it damages them. So then we might get some tax revenue from these places, but eventually we're going to have to build a new water treatment center because of the damage. The other danger that has to do with water is our aquifers, which are important for cattle, for people who live on wells, water wells. So we know that when our aquifers are being tapped for water, that we know that that's not a good thing. There's lots of other concerns which are very well known as far as water bills, electric bills that can go up by up to 30%. And so just as I spoke last week to the planning committee, I am respectfully asking that you put into place a moratorium to safeguard our city for at least a period of time until there is more research that is done on what these data centers actually do to communities. We have such a wonderful opportunity right now to make Spring Hill great by inviting commerce and businesses and restaurants. Let's build some trails so that kids can bike and families can do things like that together. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Mike Ingman. I don't know if I said that right, is it? Ingman. Yeah.
Good evening. Mike Engeman, 15259 West 193rd Terrace. And I was here last week and I got to speak and wanted to come back and thank you guys for your service. Obviously, as Michael said, you know, we understand you give up a lot to do this job. It's low pay and high amount of time and effort, and you know, you have to really care, and we want to see that. So I'm going to expand a little bit on some of the things they said. I'm, you know, a data guy. I just read and memorize facts and all the good stuff. So, you know, one of the things I wanted to expand on was the sound. And I'm an analogy guy, so I try to think of analogies that would help other people understand the situation. And I know I've seen the Kansas Chamber of Commerce has put out information on, you know, some of these that these are over exaggerated and they're great. Data centers are great, and I'm not saying they're terrible. And we're all reasonable, and we know that they offer money, but you know, some of the things that people are concerned about that are legitimate and valid are sound pollution, water pollution, and I know in the documents that the chamber put out, they're saying they're downplaying those things, and you know, On the tax side, I think they're probably right. I would agree with them for the most part. But, you know, there are some things on the water side and the sound side. And on the sound side, what they're talking about is the decibels and the typical, all the major data centers, the hyperscale is what we call the big ones. They get into the lower, the decibels may not be quite as high, but they're also in the lower hertz range. So you don't hear it, it's not an audible sound. So the best way, as an analogy I have is, you know, I live about 3 miles from the railroad tracks right here that run through. I can't hear the trains when they're going through, when they're blowing their horns, because that is a higher hertz sound, and it doesn't travel very far. So things like buffers, trees, distance, those all make a difference on the higher decibel noises. However, when you get into the lower decibels, which is the rumbling noise, I can tell you every time a train goes through Spring Hill, because it's rumbling. And that's the sound that data centers make that, you know, is 24/7, 365, is the rumbling noise. And, you know, it causes things like, you know, it causes kids to have bloody noses. It causes you to lose your balance. It causes heart conditions in people. There's just so many things that it causes that, you know, what I'd like to think is that we would look into and not just look at something that's put out by a cheerleader in Topeka that wants more business in the state. I get that. I used to work for the state. I remember when I worked for Wildlife and Parks, and I remember when the chamber tried to get us to put trailer parks in the state parks so we could have frackers come and live in our state parks and do fracking. So they're cheerleaders. I get that. And that's their job. We all know that. So so that's my 2 cents is, you know, the noise is the lower noise. It's not, you people, I've heard people say berms, trees, things like that. That doesn't stop the train noise that you hear because it's the lower hertz. And it's still loud. So that I would like to see a process, you guys to think through a process of, okay, we're going to evaluate sound, we're going to evaluate water, we're going to, and you know, if they're asking you to have a non-disclosure that, oh, we're not going to, I tried to read how much water the new one they're putting up in DeSoto was going to use, and they won't tell you how much water they're using. It's not out there. If you look, you can't. It could be 1.5 million gallons a day. It could be 5 million gallons a day. We don't know. As a resident of the state of Kansas, that's scary to me. I know the one in Osawatomie, they're asking for 1.5. The Mayor Dezine doesn't have that much water. So who's giving up water? People or the data center? Are they going to let their chips melt? I don't think so. So if the Mayor Dezine can't produce that much water, somebody's going to go without water. There's no question about it. So that would be my 2 cents is, you know, let's at least have a process that we can go through and evaluate, really evaluate, not just listen to what they say. I mean, as a former horse council director, I will tell you the saying, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. That's when data centers may be offering X amount of dollars, $200 million. I promise you they're going to extract way more than that from your community. And so think about both sides of that. So,
All right.
So thank you so much for your time. And
All right.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
everything you guys do.
Appreciate it. Next up, Bill Peterman. Did you put your phone on silent, Bill?
What?
Did you put your phone on silent?
Yes.
I saw you run back in and stop it.
Bill Peterman, 19431 West 200th Street. Thank you guys for allowing us to talk. I do want to bring up, thank this guy here for checking in on the light. I like when you guys check on stuff. The other thing that I would like to bring up is you guys had that meeting Tuesday or last Thursday with the other board, and you talked about things that we need to do. Now we need to do them. What we need to do is we need to come together and find some way to say, okay, if we're gonna put a trail in, a trail's not 3 or 2 foot wide. It's 5 foot, or whatever you guys say.
Yeah.
It's gotta be, we gotta put it in black and white so that we don't have people saying, well, yeah, we got our permit, but they poured concrete all day yesterday and all day today. Isn't that funny? They didn't pour it where it was, they said they had their permit to do it. So, you know, don't get jerked around. Because when you guys get jerked around, I look bad too. All right? Let's get where let's put out everything out there on the table. Let's say, okay, you guys are gonna do this when you do that. Because that same company sold us that bill of goods right here in this room 3 years ago or whatever it was. Okay, we're gonna have these rental properties and we're gonna have a swimming pool, don't worry, because we all worried about them coming over to our swimming pool. So what happened was, we're gonna have a swimming pool, no problem. Well, now they're not gonna have a swimming pool. They're gonna have a dog park, and I think that's gone too. But they're not putting the sidewalk in. They're not matching up to our sidewalk. Don't let them lie to you. I can tell you, yesterday and today, I don't know what they did Tuesday and Monday, but Wednesday and Thursday, they poured concrete. One of them was part of with some sidewalks connecting them, but not down there where we wanted. So, thanks, but I wish I could say thanks for doing something.
Thanks, Bill. I will say we're doing our best we can't fix the contracts from the past. We can only do better going forward, and we're doing our best to do that. So we're doing with what we can. Good thing we've got some bonding on that one so that we can kind of force the issue if we have to. But going forward, we're trying to put our best foot forward to make sure that these neighborhoods that come in and things like that are all done the right way. So thanks for all the feedback. Those are all good things. Also for the emails we received over the last week, some really good recommendations, and we are going to be starting, I think, even ahead of time before we get everything set up, just to start getting some information out there. I know I wanted to start meeting with some different HOAs and stuff like that too, so we can try to get the most information we can for this comprehensive plan. So thank you, everybody. Next up is going to be our consent agenda. Do we have any questions or changes needed here? If not, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0-0. Next, we'll move on to formal council action. First up, we have consider award of bid for the 2026 CARS 191st Street project. And we've got Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. Just in the interest of efficiency and brevity, the next 3 items from a presentation perspective, I'm going to kind of cover them all together and give you all that information, and then you can consider each of the 3 items. So we've got so we've got a few 3 different projects that we bid out recently. We have the annual street maintenance program, which is just our annual program to keep up with, stay on top of maintenance of our streets so that they don't get so deteriorated that we're looking at complete failure and a complete reconstruction. What we are proposing this year is, we've talked about it with you before, it's a product known as UBAS. It's a ultra thin bonded asphalt. So it is a thinner mat than the traditional asphalt overlay, which means less expensive, but it also looks and feels, once it goes down, it looks and feels, acts like traditional asphalt. So we're proposing to use it in place of where the city had historically used chip seal. So I think it's a better product and certainly better suited for residential areas with a lot of cul-de-sacs. It holds up much better. So we are proposing almost all of this year's street maintenance program be the UBAS product in 5 different subdivisions around the city. And that is, we took took bids for that. There are only 2 bidders. It's a fairly specialized product. Not that many companies have the equipment necessary to put that product down. So the 2 companies in the area that do have that equipment both bid on the project. The bids were very close, but the low bid and the one staff is recommending is for McEnany Construction. That's in the amount of $975,000. I'm going to jump around a little bit from what's on the slide here. We also had this year's CARS project. If you'll recall, this year what we have slated is reconstruction, or fairly significant reconstruction on 191st Street. So it's between just east of 169 Highway, technically Madison Street, over to Woodland. And that will involve base repairs where there are significant base failures. There are 2 different drainage culverts that go across the road there. Those are both corrugated metal pipe that's pretty well deteriorated and at or beyond its lifespan. So we're proposing to replace those with a concrete pipe. It's more durable, will last longer. So replacing those drainage structures, regrading the ditches to also allow a little bit of space. Just even a foot makes a big difference. Having some gravel beyond the edge of the pavement before it drops off to the ditches. So this project will involve all of the grading necessary to shift those ditches, provide that gravel. I want to call it a shoulder, but that gravel strip beside the pavement, and new pavement and new striping. So that's the CARS project. The low bid on that was Bettis Asphalt in the amount of $390,677.45. Just a reminder, as a CARS project, most of that cost is eligible for reimbursement from the county on a 50-50 basis. So pretty much all of the construction costs are eligible for CARS reimbursement, as well as the inspection services. So design is not eligible, engineering design is not eligible, and materials testing is not eligible, but the inspection as well as the actual construction costs are eligible for reimbursement. And the amount that we had approved by Johnson County through CARS program is for was more than half of that amount. So we only get reimbursed 50% of what we spend, but what we were approved for under the CARS program will get us the full 50% on this project.
Okay, great. I had one question or one comment.
Sure.
The reason we're starting so far east is because of the future stoplight there. So that improvement from that road over to the highway will be included with the stoplight improvement there.
Yeah, thank you. That we didn't want to spend that money twice and
Exactly.
put new asphalt in that we knew was going to get torn out as part of the intersection signalization project. So the turn lanes and the widening of the pavement as part of that signalization will basically be from Madison to 169. So we're picking up at that point in Madison and doing the asphalt pavement from there east.
And you said we're adding shoulders east?
We're adding that micro shoulders is a great term. Just allowing for about a foot of gravel between the edge of the pavement and the slope of the ditch. So often you see it goes from edge of pavement immediately to the ditch, and if a driver happens to veer off, there's no margin for error at all. So while relatively small in area, can be really big in terms of the impact that can have for the safety of motorists.
Well, and as we look at some of those areas, as that develops out, those developments will be responsible for filling in kind of the ditches and adding the connectivity portion of it, right?
That's as that develops, we will see that shift, like so many of our other streets, from the traditional Old County Road with open ditches to curbs and, inlet storm sewer system. But right now, the development in that area just isn't there yet. And those are the types of improvements that you would see with a complete reconstruction. This is more of a kind of major maintenance level project.
Well, this has been a very big issue in that area for a while, so to get this kind of fixed the right way would be kind of nice. So this should be a good fix. Glad we're doing that one.
And then the third item, third contract for consideration tonight is also part of that street maintenance program, and it's a mill and overlay. So when I say mill and overlay, that's the grind off an inch or two of the existing pavement, and then an overlay of about a 2-inch thick mat of traditional asphalt. That's what we are proposing on Webster Street from South Street down to Victory. We talked about that before. That's a concrete street that would be very expensive to repair as a concrete street. I think what will work very, very well in this case is they will mill or grind that existing concrete 1.5 inches, 2 inches down at the gutter line on either side. And then over, say, 6 feet or so, that will taper to nothing. What that will do is it'll create a lug about 1.5 inches, 2 inches deep in that concrete next to the gutter. Then they'll come in and put a 2-inch asphalt overlay over the entire street. That concrete then that's showing some signs, it's showing signs of surface deterioration. It's not showing signs of structural deterioration. It's staying pretty good and level and firm. So we're going to take advantage of it as a good base and put the asphalt on as a good smooth riding surface. Will help us now, and then it also sets us up in the future. That asphalt surface can be milled and overlaid, over and over again as necessary, as the conditions warrant, as opposed to, and it'll make the concrete last a lot longer because that asphalt will seal it off and not allow the water and salt to constantly get into that concrete and further degrade it. We got some really good pricing on that. If you'll recall, my estimate when I talked with you a few months ago was that would be somewhere around $240,000 to do that stretch of Webster. Bids came in at about $200,000 instead of the $240,000. We also asked, so that was the base bid, was give us a price to do the edge milling and the asphalt overlay on Webster. We had a lot of interest in that. We had 7 bidders for that, so we had good competitive bids. And it was about low bid was about $200,000, $201,000 for that stretch of Webster. We also asked, trying to get some economies of scale with an asphalt contractor coming into town, we asked them to give us a bid alternate price that's kind of a no guarantees of work, give us a price, and then we'll decide whether we want to go ahead with the work or not, for 3 of the city's parking lots. One being at the Aquatic Center, another being at the Community Center on Race Street, just south of 215th, and the final one being the back or west parking lot here at City Hall. All 3 of those need resurfaced. The one here at City Hall and the Community Center are in really poor shape. Not sure, given the still kind of the question marks with what's in the city's best interest for those facilities long term. I don't know that this is a good time to completely rebuild those parking lots and put that kind of money into it. But we need to do something. They're in a significant state of disrepair. So we asked for pricing on those. The Aquatic Center is not as far gone. We've done a lot of crack sealing, trying to stay on top of it before we lose it entirely. We have that slated in our capital improvements plan as a 2027 project. While we were literally doing asphalt work on Webster, just a few hundred feet from this parking lot, thought that might be a good time to at least ask or look at what kind of pricing we would get. So we have it, albeit as a 27 project. We were estimating $150,000 in in 2027 to repave just that aquatic center parking lot. That's a mill overlay and all new striping. What we got for pricing, let me also show you some pictures. So this is a good example of the community center and the state of the parking lot there. And then also here on the west parking lot at City Hall, you can see just how deteriorated that asphalt is. So the low bid for all three lots was $138,000 and change. So that put the total for the Webster work and the bid alternate at a total of $339,867. Staff's recommending we approve the bid for both the base bid, the Webster work, as well as the three parking lots. It's really good pricing. You know, we can get all three parking lots done for less than we were planning to spend on the aquatic center alone. Gets it done sooner rather than later, and definitely addresses an area of need and takes advantage of that good pricing. We're getting just some economies of scale because we have a large asphalt project going on, literally just down the road. So those are all three projects kind of rolled into one. It's each one, it's three separate, we bid them out as three separate contracts, and as it turns out, it was the low bidders were three separate companies. And in many cases, we had the same companies that would bid on all three, but just who came in as the low bid. I should also note, McEnany Construction on the UBAS is a company that we've worked with a number of times, had good experience with, feel very comfortable with their bid and their work. The CARS project, low bid was Bettis Asphalt. That's also a company that we've worked with a number of times. They've done a lot of projects in the community. We're comfortable working with them. The mill and overlay was, the low bid was a company called All Pro Asphalt. That's a new one for staff. We have not worked with that company before. They haven't done any other work in the city. We called, checked references with other communities that they've done work for, and honestly got kind of mixed results. Some good, some not so good. Honestly, I didn't get any feedback that concerned me so much that I felt like we had good reason to not accept the bid. I will say, given the feedback that we got, it's a contract that we will watch, especially closely, and really try to stay on top of it, and hopefully it's the beginning of a really good contract, and that'll be another contractor that we can say, hey, we've worked with them and had really good experience. We just haven't had that opportunity yet. With that, I'm happy to answer any other questions you have.
I'm gonna reserve all my questions and comments as we go through each individual agenda item, if it's all the same. So as far as starting off with the CARS project, we've all been talking about these CARS projects. We've had lots and lots of discussions about them. The program with the county is incredible. I think the pricing that we're getting there, the area that we're targeting is completely appropriate, and I'm in total support of it. That project has been on the list for a long time, and getting it done is high on my list of priorities, so I'm good there.
I'm just glad we're not doing chip and seal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the big pushback for me years ago when we did that. And so UBAS is, from everything I've seen, is much better, especially for neighborhoods. So I'm good with that one. The only one I had any kind of reservation on is the mill and overlay on the parking lots. Did we get that broken down by each parking lot, or is that just the total? We don't know if we did some and not all.
That is the total, but they bid it per square yard, so we can
scale back if we wanted to.
We can back that out and say, we want to do the aquatic center and not the other two. We want to do the aquatic center at City Hall, but not the community center.
I mean, in my mind, City Hall and the aquatic center get used. Community center doesn't get nearly as much use, and if we don't even know what we're going to do with that, I don't know if I want to spend money on the parking lot. I know we've talked about doing a little bit of work to the building, but I don't know, I'm kind of on the side of, I know we have to do something with the building or the land that we got next to the public works, and I'd probably prefer to divert money there to get that building taken down and work on it. I know we may not be doing it right now, but it's something that's gonna be coming up shortly, I would hope. And so, for me, I don't know if I'd wanna spend money in some of these, I mean, I think the aquatic center's needed. The other two, I could probably take or leave for another project instead of doing all of it.
How often is the community center used?
I would say it gets regular usage from the standpoint of, there's a rental there every week, but it's certainly not used for, all day, every day. We definitely see more usage on the weekends. It's a very affordable way to have a, birthday party, family reunion, some, large gathering that, let that happen at the community center, and you take the trash out and you walk away, as opposed to trying to host that at your home. So we tend to see events on the weekends much more so than during the week. Whereas, usage, for example, here at City Hall, we see, most evenings throughout the week as well as the weekends. Community center tends to be stacked a little more on the weekends.
Jacob, if I could add something to that, I just happened to do a little research on the rental revenue for these properties, and the community center generates over $28,000 a year in revenue for rentals.
But what's our cost for it right now?
That I would have to look at.
The revenue side's easy. It's, what are we making from it?
Yeah.
I know it's a good use for, it's for citizen use, but at the same time, if it's not really being used that much, I don't know. I've been over there quite a few times in the last year, and it doesn't bother me that much. I'd rather see money go somewhere else. But again, that's just my opinion, I think.
Since we're talking about everything,
Yeah.
my biggest issue with all of these is because the price as a whole for all three projects, I think, is appropriate for the work that needs to be done. Timing matters. We've got pool season getting ready to start up, so have we gotten a timeline that, like, we say, yeah, we're gonna do it all tonight? What's the timeline looking like for the aquatic center?
So we've very specifically bid it, or put information in the bid that said that work has to be completed before Memorial Day, or it cannot be started before Labor Day. So we made it very clear that pool season, that parking lot is off limits, and we wanted to make sure that the bidders were well aware of what those limitations. We didn't want someone to bid it thinking, I've got the perfect slot in our schedule for mid-June, and then we kind of pull the rug out from under them. So those were the parameters that we set, and honestly, until we award a contract and we know who the contractor is, I'm not sure whether they will be able to make it in before the season or if it will be after. But we did kind of put in the bid and the contract language that it won't happen during the pool season.
So they understand that that's kind of the expectation. That like I said, I kind of tend to lean with the mayor on this one. I personally think if anything is pressing for us, it's going to be our staff parking lot. Making sure that that's maintained. We're going to be here for a while yet. I know there's lots of talks about potential growth opportunities for the city, new spaces for us, but that's still a long ways down the way. So getting on top of that makes sense to me now. The community center, I feel like just the picture speaks for itself. It's seen some use. It's got some miles. It's worn down, but the use there is very, very limited. So I'm not opposed to it as a whole. I just think with the aquatic center specifically, we need to make sure we're real careful with timeline. So that's where I stand on that.
Mike,
Well,
you look like you have thoughts.
so it's slated for the 2027. When are these other two slated for, or are they not?
So they were not included in the capital improvement plan, and some of that is just, when you look at individual projects, the dollar amount for either of those parking lots by itself doesn't rise to that level that it would be considered a capital project. Now roll it in with two others, and then it absolutely gets there. But the aquatic center was large enough that it met that that dollar amount threshold to be a capital project on its own.
But that's kind of my thought too, is do we look at, like I said, we know we have one more parking lot project that's gonna be coming up, hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah.
Do we wait and lump it in with this and try to see if we can get pricing to at least lock it down for now, or is that too hard because there's still a building there?
It would be a challenge just because there is still a building there, and if we can get the building, if we can get the building removed, foundation removed, and be at a point to pave it before this contract is over, then we might have the ability to add that on. We have some flexibility contractually to either reduce the scope of work by a certain percentage. You can't reduce it and say, oh, we're gonna you bid.
We're only gonna do the staff parking lot.
We're only gonna now you're only gonna do 25%.
But what about increasing it? Can we increase it to add that one?
Increase also up to about 25% beyond the quantities that were bid.
So what would that be, you think?
So it would certainly cover, quantity wise would cover that.
Would be within the
parking lot
25?
beside the public works.
That'd be the only thing. I mean, obviously it's up to you guys. I don't vote on this, but my opinion is, I think as long as that fits in, I think I would like to, if we're gonna agree to all of them, I think I'd like to include that one, in my opinion. Because why go back later? Like you said, it's so small, it's gonna cost us more. We might as well do them all at one time.
Yeah.
They all have their wear. If we were looking at 27 anyway, maybe we would say, hey, we'll contract it now, but we get through the end of next summer to get these all completed.
They're still covered through Labor Day, so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still this year.
That's gonna give us quite a bit of time to figure that one out. So that would be my opinion on it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with them if we're gonna include the other. I'm worried about spending too much money here and then later on, we're gonna come back for another, however much it's gonna cost to do that one.
So we can absolutely, I'm thinking through it, and I'm gonna look to Spencer here if I'm stating something incorrectly, but I think with, if we want to be able to add an additional parking lot beside the public works, between police and public works, we would need to approve the base bid and the alternate bid to get the quantities up high enough.
We could probably do a not to exceed based off of the yard.
So that would be if we award them a contract to do those 3 parking lots, you can add a 4th and be within those limits. If we don't approve any of the parking lots, then we don't have a parking lot bid item so we don't have the pricing that would act as the basis to add on that parking lot.
So what I would say, if it's 25%, you'd say if you wanna approve this kind of as a whole, you approve it for 125% of this bid, or not to exceed that if you include additional parking lots. Would that be kinda how we'd say it, Spencer? He doesn't like that question.
No, it's a good question. It just makes me think, and I hate that. Yeah, I think that works if you adopt this with a not to exceed number. I think whoever's making the motion, let me make your job slightly harder. I see PJ looking to write something down.
notes.
Great. I think maybe a note. Sorry, this is very echoey. Let me get it away from me. A note directing staff to negotiate with the contractor to add this 4th parking lot, to give Jacob the leeway to go add that in as needed. Or Jacob, do you want that additional negotiating ability with them, or is this a?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. I think we'll also have some time, but realistically, we're probably looking at after pool season for all of these parking lots.
Right.
That would give us a little bit of time to come back and say, here we are, we're closer to decision-making time. Do we want to add that 4th parking lot or not? And we can still.
So do we need to approve this today then, or do we just need to approve as?
Just table it so you can go back and talk to them about that and have a more accurate idea of what the dollars are gonna look like. That way you're not locked in anything today.
Well, I think we have, so we have their bid, and we asked for bids for those 3 parking lots. So we need to either approve or reject that bid. Or an alternative is we reject them and go back out to bid, you know. And
I was gonna say, yeah, we can
package
remand the
parking lots.
project award back to staff with requested modifications, which would be the 4th parking lot. That would be my recommendation, because I think if we just say, hey, this is the rough estimate of what that parking lot's gonna look like, and, you know, can we include this one in there and just have a new number, and we can, I would think, do it next meeting, or what, I don't know how quickly you can get it back, or how quickly they can get it back.
Yeah, we'll reach out to them and see. It's also kind of that,
That's not gonna kill this bid, is it, to do that?
so there are kind of 2 different parts to this. So there is that base bid for the Webster work. And you can approve that base bid.
I don't think we're talking about those two. Those two, it sounds like everybody's kind of on board. We're just talking about this 3rd parking lot one.
Yeah, so I think that, we can absolutely move forward, award a contract for the base bid and the bid alternate. That would allow us to move ahead with the Aquatic Center, and the Webster Street. Whether we add the community center, City Hall, or.
So we could even swap those out and change, and then add it to the other parking lot.
They bid on quantities.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I would say, go ahead, I think, if it was me making the motion, I would probably say approve it up to 125%, not to exceed, it was like 172.5 or something like that, right, or 175?
So all total was 339, almost 340. That includes the Webster work. So the parking lots were.
Oh, because they're all tied to the same, okay.
Yeah, they're all on the same building.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to that. That's my fault.
It's either 1 or 4.
So, but you can we talk about just that particular one in the motion? Is that why it was gonna be difficult?
To me, the simplest solution is simply to take the parking lots off of the bid, approve the bid as it stands without the parking lots, and then revisit the parking lots at another meeting. That's.
Well, the problem is the pricing may not be as good if we do.
I understand that. If we're looking to fundamentally change the scope of the project, they're gonna need to send it back out to bid regardless.
Yeah.
Do you all want to table this just to the end of tonight's agenda and allow staff
look
some
into
marginal
it.
time to go back and look at like the unit pricing to tell you if this is we're asking for $50,000 more dollars, or we're asking for a low 6-figure number? Does that change your approach to this if it's a $75,000 add-on?
Well, if you look at it 25%, if the max is 25%, that's 40,000 anything, yeah. So that means, if you wanna look at the yard pricing and come back to this one, I'd say you move with those two and we can move this to the end, if you want to.
Okay, so procedurally, let's table this until the end of formal council action.
Well, we're not to that one yet, so let's go ahead and go ahead and make decisions on 8 and 9, then at 10 we'll table that. All right, any more questions on these 3 for now?
No.
Okay, what we'll do is, look at number 8 here, and I will entertain a motion.
All right, so making sure that I'm reading the one. Number 8 is our CARS project for 191st Street. All right, I move to accept all bids for the 2026 CARS project on 191st Street between Madison and Woodland, and award the contract to Bettis Asphalt and Construction, Inc. in the amount of $390,775, and authorize the mayor and staff to execute the necessary documents.
Second.
Is the amount different than on mine?
And did I read the wrong one?
677.
Hold on.
Yeah, 677.75.
Oh, where is that number? I'm
Right here.
Did I not read that right?
You didn't say the 6.
Sorry, 300 and, I'm just gonna start it. I move that we approve, agenda item number 8. Oh my goodness, I'm completely lost here. All right, move to accept all bids for the 2026 CARS project on 191st Street between Madison and Woodland, and award the contract to Bettis Asphalt and Construction, Inc. in the amount of $390,677.75 and authorize the mayor and staff to execute the necessary documents.
Second.
Wait, 3 seconds?
All of them.
We got Mike as the second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0-0. Yeah, I think you just skipped the 677.
Yeah, I just skipped the numbers
Total,
altogether.
yeah. Believe me.
So I've got like 20 numbers going through my head.
I did
now
really
since we're
bad.
Talking about
I'm-
redoing that whole
yeah.
agenda item.
I jack things up every time I talk. All right, number 9, this is the UBAS, street maintenance. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve agenda item number 9 as stated in tonight's agenda.
Second.
Does he need to say the amount at all, or are we good? Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0-0. Quit giggling, Mike. All right, number 10, we are going to table to the end of the meeting. Do we need to make a motion to table that?
Yeah, you do need to move to table, so.
Okay.
All right, I move to table agenda item number 10 until the end of tonight's formal action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0-0. Number 11, consider award of bids and agreement for mowing services for Empire Lawn Care and Eric's Lawn Service. Mike Mallon.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yeah, this is accepting bids and award of a contract for nuisance abatement mowing, which is essentially the city's ability to go onto somebody's property, mow the property for them in the case of a code violation for high weeds and grass, and then assign those costs back to the underlying property owner. The city put out an RFP earlier this year. Bids were accepted until March 9th. We received 5 total bids. City staff evaluated the bids based upon the criteria in the FEP or RFP, including cost, qualifications, equipment, and experience. Empire Lawn was determined to provide the best overall value to the city and will serve as the primary contractor for routine nuisance abatement mowing. As indicated, I believe it's on page 152 of the packet, the bid tabulation form. Their base rate is $60 per hour. Additionally, Eric's Lawn Service has been identified as a secondary contractor to be utilized for properties requiring larger or more specialized equipment or in situations where the primary contractor is unavailable. Their bid was at $100 per hour, and they had the necessary equipment such as a brush hog and large format mowers to tackle some of the larger properties or harder to properties with grade and things, and takes the burden off of our staff over in Public Works to use city equipment to go out and mow that can get torn up, destroyed. So it puts kind of that cost back onto the contractor that we are hiring. Services would be performed on an as-needed basis for both contractors, again with the costs assessed back to the property owner in accordance with city code. Happy to answer any questions.
And it looks like this is good through December 31st of this year, and then it's not automatic renewals, they'll bring it back to us each year, or we'll go out for bid each year? I see that there's 2 extension options.
Yeah, so it's good through the end of this year with an extension option for 1 more year.
So if we're happy, we can just extend it rather than put it back out for bid. All right. And this is services that we don't pay for. Well, technically we could pay for it and then we have to get reimbursed in one way or another, correct?
That's how it works, yeah. We call them, they come out, they mow it, they send us a bill, we pay it, and then we work with that property owner to get that bill paid.
Okay. Any other questions?
So nuisance questions for you. So what did we bill out last year?
I don't know that number. I do know that the budgeted amount is $2,080. I don't believe we
didn't exceed that.
Okay, and how much of that did we recoup through a collection process from the property owners?
That I don't know.
Okay, those are numbers that need to be added whenever we're doing this. Here's what we spend on it. Here's how we made our money back, or here's how we didn't make our money back. That way I can make an informed decision.
Mayor, if I may?
Yeah.
If the property owner does not pay the bill, then it gets assessed on their taxes.
Right.
And I have to certify that in August. So staff works with community development and the finance department to know who has not paid that. So eventually we will get them reimbursed. It just depends on if it's going to be directly from the property owner by the invoice or through the assessment on their taxes.
I appreciate that.
Sure,
And
you're welcome.
I understand the process as a whole. It's just when we get these presentations and these requests, I like to see here's what it's costing us, here's what we spend on it, here's how that's either a positive or negative to the city. I like to see those on all of these. I've put Allison on the spot, I put Jacob on the spot. My favorite question is, can we afford this?
Sure.
And how does it impact the budget? So moving forward, I'd like to see.
If
those
I
things.
can, I will give you a summary of that over the next week. We budgeted about $2,000. I don't believe we exceeded that budget. We bill out a few of these each year. I mean, less than 10.
Right.
And I believe when we assessed it to the tax roll, it was certainly less than $500.
Awesome.
So I would say it's probably not a profitable
Right.
venture for us, but it's not a high cost item either.
Gotcha.
Just to clarify, it's also not designed to be a profit generator
Right.
for the city. And the delay in assessments is going to inherently skew your numbers a
Absolutely.
bit because they'll be coming in late, so. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Any other questions or comments?
Pretty straightforward.
All right. I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve agenda item 11 as stated in tonight's agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0-0. Thanks, Mike. All right. Number 12, consider approval of supplemental agreement number 1 with Atmos Energy Corporation for the 199th Street Improvements Project. And we got Allison.
Hey, the next item before you is a request to approve a supplemental agreement with Atmos. We're currently working on 199th Street. I've been before you several times asking for money for this project. We had previously entered into an agreement with Atmos to do utility relocations. Anytime that a utility is within right-of-way, if we have improvements that require them to move to make room for our improvements, then they have to do it at their cost. If they have a dedicated easement and their utility is in that dedicated easement, we ask them to move, we have to pay for it. So that's kind of why we're paying for it tonight. We had previously approved a contract with them for $817,000. Additional work needed to be done at the intersection of 199th and Renner to take that line to the south. There's a lot going on at that intersection. We had some power poles, we've got some existing trees and tree roots. We've got a lot that they're trying to avoid. And in order to make that work, they had to take that to the south side of Renner. And in order to do that, that's going to be an additional cost. So they've estimated that that cost is going to be $108,000. That's in addition to that $800,000 that was previously approved. I've reviewed all of these estimates and they look in line with what the work that they plan to do out there. We have the supplemental agreement that is included in your packet, and staff recommends the approval of that supplemental agreement in the amount of $108,464.99. I am available if you have any questions. Oh, and I do want to note too that we're still under budget with this project.
Thank you.
I tried to outline that in the agenda
Breakdown,
review
I
sheet so
appreciate
that you could kind of follow my math.
We, this is the one that is killing us over time because we were going to be way under, and then unfortunately they were like a foot within the easement they were supposed to be, and it got us pretty good. But overall, we're down. Obviously, it's not fun to eat into the savings that we've got, but these are necessary changes, and unfortunately, we're having to foot the bill for it. But that's how it goes sometimes. What were the changes that their estimate changed from the 800 to the 900? Was it something they missed on that one, or is it something, or just the corner? Once they got there, they're like, "Oh, we have more.
So, just to go through a little bit more information than you guys probably wanted to hear tonight about the project. So, on the east side of Renner, we're going to be transitioning from a shoulder section to that curb and gutter. So, with the shoulder section, we're going to be establishing ditches. With those ditches, the existing location of the gas main is exactly where the bottom of that ditch is. So, they're not able to get the cover. So we discussed several different options, maybe enclosing that stormwater into an underground system so that we could eliminate the ditch. That was an opportunity that would have come at some additional cost. We looked at maybe changing the configuration, resetting the gas main. That would have required additional easements, which would have cost additional money. The tree roots were also a big issue because you've got a lot of voids with the tree roots, and that was an issue as well. So we looked at 3 or 4 different alternatives, went out on site, looked at what those alternatives would do, and this was the best alternative that we could do, was to take it from the north side of 199th Street and shift it to the south side of 199th Street, where we had fewer conflicts and fewer obstacles that we would have to go through.
And this won't affect the construction of the south side of that road in the future when that needs to happen, or will it?
We discussed that. So whenever we specifically went through the relocation process initially during the design process, we made sure that water and gas were in their forever location. That, we put the 4-lane configuration with the median on the plan so that everybody could see where that ultimate roadway configuration was going to be. That's part of the reason why we had to get so much gas easement, so that we could move the gas line so far to the south. And they're actually working on that right now. Nobody would know that because the road's closed. But yes, they're currently buttoning up some of that utility relocation.
Okay. So yeah, as long as we're not creating any more problems later on, that's kind of the.
We tried to look at the forever location of that because I don't want to have to move it again.
Yeah, no, with all this cost, for sure.
Yeah.
Is it gonna extend the closure of the road very long?
No, it will not.
Cool.
No, the reason the road's closed right now, as I've mentioned to you guys in the past, is we're doing a poured in place box. They formed the walls up. What day was that? Tuesday? I want to say they stayed really, really late on Tuesday to form the walls up. So hopefully we'll be able to get strength on the concrete by maybe Monday, and they can start filling on that box so that we can get that buttoned up and that roadway back open. I'm hoping by the 20th. Don't quote me on that, but I'm hopeful that they're right on schedule. I don't think any rains or anything like that are going to affect them. That's why they worked so hard to get the walls poured this week ahead of some of the rains.
Any other questions or comments?
No, I don't like going over budget, but we're digging into the savings, and when we approve these budgets, when we approve these ceilings, I expect that money to eventually find its way out of in a project. I love how much work you guys put into trying to keep it under budget, trying to find the savings, looking for those alternatives. I know this is not an easy thing to do, to come up and ask us for more money when we've already kind of added to these projects and we've got multiple of them going on. So thank you for this information and for writing it out in a way that I can see. And when we talk about it, everybody can kind of keep up with what we're doing on each of these projects.
All right. With that, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve agenda item number 12 as cited in tonight's agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ivan? Yeah. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0-0. Next up, we've got consider approval of a 2-year extension of the contract with Waste Management dated 12/9/21 and updated Exhibit A for 2027.
Thank you.
Rhonda Dunn.
Thank you, sir. It's not often we stop and talk about the exciting trash business that the city provides to the residents, but this is a good time to do it. We also have here tonight Bryce Smith, who is our business partner at Waste Management, and we work very closely with every week on the service to our residents. So I just want to give you a background. We went into a contract with Waste Management through an RFP process in 2021, and then we updated that contract in 2023. What our citizens receive is weekly trash service, weekly recycle service, a monthly bulk pickup, and seasonal lawn waste pickup for the same price at the curb, if you will. The city provides account setup, the escalation of customer service, and then billing and collections. That's the piece we provide. Waste Management does the heavy lifting, customer service, providing all the containers, and then the pickup service on the weekly and monthly schedules. The city's not involved in the commercial accounts. That's all handled directly with Waste Management. We don't provide any service there nor receive any income from it. But we do negotiate commercial pricing for Spring Hill commercial accounts through Waste Management. So in the time we've had this contract, Waste Management has upgraded trucks to the auto pickup that picks it up with an arm and provided all new containers to help lower their labor requirements. They've upgraded their website, which allows for online scheduling for bulk pickup. That's been a real game changer around that bulk pickup. And if you don't know it, bulk pickup without an extra charge is quite a luxury item. A lot of cities have that, but you have to pay extra, and some cities don't have it at all, so that's really quite a benefit. We're very effective communicators. We work together every week, making sure customers are getting what they need and everything gets scheduled and runs on schedule. And I think that the city and Waste Management work really well together, and it's evolved over this time to where I think we have a pretty well working machine. Really, we do. So the annual payment that the city receives in general is about $64,000. We get a percentage of the amount of money that's collected, and it goes into the general fund and it offsets the cost of customer service. So that basically pays for most of one position in my group to have the Waste Management contract. And this just gives you the dollars and cents of this operation for the full time of this contract. We've grown. I think the important thing is to look at the number of customers. We ended 2021 with just under 3,000 customers. And right now we have just over 4,000 customers. That's households here in Spring Hill. And that, again, does not include any commercial accounts. You can also see in the revenue that we pay to Waste Management, we've grown from $663,000 to $922,000 a year in revenue. We pay them on a monthly basis. And then our annual payment, as you can see, has grown to about $64,000. So I thought I would take a look at the other cities so you had an understanding of how the trash business is handled for other people. In Spring Hill, we bill $22.19, and the service is provided by Waste Management. It's $21.19 for our senior citizens. Olathe, the city provides those services, $22.74, and Paola, also through Waste Management, is $20.50. A key thing to remember here is not all service is the same. We have that bulk pickup, another city may not have. They may be paying an extra $25 fee every time they want to use that. So it's a little bit of apples and oranges, but not too far apart. Overland Park and Lenexa do not provide trash services. They license the trash companies, and then either homes associations or the neighborhoods or individuals get to pick their trash service. Pricing is not on the website, but they are provided by a trash service in Kansas City, Kansas, Bonner Springs, and Lewisburg, all by Waste Management. I think you're hearing a theme here. Waste Management is the business of trash hauling in Kansas City. And then Fairway has a company called GFL. Leewood, HOA's contract for service, the city is not involved. And in Prairie Village, the city provides it with no additional cost or monthly bill, but they include it in the property tax for the property.
That's interesting.
So here's what I'm recommending tonight. We have 4,000 customers. I'm recommending we extend this contract for another 2 years. You know I'm a big supporter of using RFPs and bidding because it tends to save us money. I don't think there's an opportunity to save a great deal of money for our customers because we have a competitive rate and we have really great services that the customers received. So if we were to go out to bid and switch, it would be quite a disruption to every single household in Spring Hill. I think it's better to spend the time determining what we want trash service to look like. If this is what we like, don't change a thing. We'll see what 2 years brings. If we would like to do it differently and not provide customer service, or maybe we want to hire trash people, trash workers, and buy trucks, I doubt it. But take a look at what the trash business means and how we want to continue it over the next 2 years. And then look for sure at an RFP for 2028, when this 5-year agreement and its 2-year extension expires, then we really need to bid it out again and take a good look. But I'm really doing this on we have many projects going. We're not going to add huge value to the residents. So let's leave this one alone, go on for 2 more years, and then determine how we want to handle it next. Avoid the disruption. And from there, if you have any questions.
Go for it, Mike.
So you mentioned the bulk pickup is now online and they can be scheduled.
Right.
Is that true for large item as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I would say, yeah, that's the major complaint I typically hear or see is that either they scheduled it and they didn't get their stuff picked up. Couldn't get through. I know when we used to call, it was real, I struggled with that myself.
Definitely an improvement.
Regular trash getting picked up has been, I guess, just maybe talking through that process of if you don't get picked up, who to contact, because I've seen some people say, oh, well, yeah, I called and they came back right away, and other people like, they made me wait a whole week. I know Ivan Street had some issues for a while. That was like a year or two ago, but.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I used the trash pickup this week, this month actually. I missed a deadline to call, but I was able on Saturday to log online and chat with somebody, and they scheduled and arranged that pickup, and all my stuff was gone on Wednesdays.
Okay.
We had a person a week ago who was super upset that she didn't get on this, her bulk didn't get picked up, and she had the wrong date. She was off a week, and so it got picked up the next week. So a lot of time it's communication, and that website, being able to do it online has made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Not only for us, but if you saw the schedule, 100 pickups in a week is not uncommon for bulk and large.
That was my
items.
question is, yeah, how many, because another thing that makes it really confusing is depending on what side of the city you're on county-wise,
Right.
it's a very different day. And I've seen that where people have it out and they're like, oh, that was the Johnson County day or that was the Miami County day.
Right.
And
What side of the street are you on?
yeah,
Makes a difference, so.
exactly. So I didn't know if there's any way to uniform that at all for the bulk, or is there just too much pickup to do that?
There's really too much pickup to do that. And I don't speak for Bryce by any means, but I know they put a lot of time and effort into making that schedule and plan. He has heard what you're saying, and when he can make efficiencies in it, I'm sure he'll do that.
Or do we just go to twice a month and anybody could put their name in for it rather than it
One
being
side of the
specific?
county, yeah.
No. He's shaking his head no.
Oh, no.
It's like, it's really a tough thing to do. And sometimes it's different equipment, like one truck picks up appliances and refrigerators and freezers, and a different truck picks up the kind of trash part of
So what,
furniture.
have we gotten a quote or anything on what it would be if we didn't offer bulk pickup as part of the service?
We have not yet, because it would likely, the reason I haven't done is because I perceive it that they would still offer that service. It would just be more money to the customer would pay.
Well, I mean, there's
Some people would
there's
never
probably
use it.
3,000 of those users never used it, and so that's the
be.
question: is that if the people using it, should they pay for it, or
Yep.
That would be another question there.
That
too.
would definitely be a part of the next
I
step.
think I used it once in 8 years, and so when I think about it, I'm like, well, I know I've seen neighbors that I've lived next to that have never used it.
And I know some that use it every single time.
Exactly. There's people that use it every
Yeah,
time, so it's like, should
Where's that
they pay
coming
for it, or should we all pay for it? That's the question, I guess.
Yeah. I hear you on that.
But outside of that, so walking through that process, if for some reason their house gets skipped trash wise, for those watching, and maybe we can even have Jenna put it out, but what's the process if their regular barrel gets missed?
They call Waste Management's.
They call,
customer
not
service.
us, they call Waste Management.
That's right.
Okay.
We are the escalation that if they don't, it doesn't happen, or they're not getting a call, or they're having a dispute, if you will, with Waste Management, then they escalate to us.
Okay.
But we set people up and get them going, and then Waste Management takes care of them until they need our assistance.
'Cause like I said, I've seen two very different, so I'm like, somebody's calling the right number and somebody's not. So
Right.
it's like, you know, if we all know where to go, it's gonna make it helpful.
Yep, and we regularly put that in our newsletters and on our bills, and it's on our website, and we definitely have the phone numbers and the process out there for the public.
I've been lucky enough to never have that issue, but I know some people that have.
You can.
Yeah.
Looked like you had something you wanted to say. Was there something that you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Please.
This is on you.
Yeah, come on up. You can. Yeah, come on up so everybody can hear you.
No, on the missed pickup stuff, what's novel, so these automated trucks, and thanks again, when was that? That's been 4 years.
It's been a little while since you're here.
20, I think it's about 4 years ago, and thank you, and you saw those numbers up there and the growth you guys have had. And
You can go to the mic so people can hear you.
oh, is this better?
Yeah, 'cause online they'll
Sorry about that. But with the growth you guys have had and the changes we've made in the service with automated trucks, cart and everything, that's allowed us to still have the capacity to get everything done. I mean, we moved it from 1 day to 2 days.
Yeah.
I'm getting the guys out of town by 3:30, 4 o'clock, something like that, so then you don't have business traffic coming back in town. You were talking about missed pickup stuff. What's cool is all those trucks that we've had, all the automated trucks we have now have camera systems on them. So it actually takes a live video of when we're picking that up.
So they can see if you were actually out there.
Some of those people are saying, they missed my trash. We have video.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we have video of not out at 928 South Madison or whatever at 7 a.m. or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's been very helpful. As far as the bulk collection stuff you guys were talking about, and could we do the whole town in 1 day? It's impossible. Number one, most haulers that you see in the metro area now are all automated. So bulk collection, I have to fire up a separate truck, a rear-loaded truck. I have to staff that with a separate driver, a separate helper. And honestly, because I mean, I send them a email every bulk collection of who has called in and what that looks like. So then if they take a phone call, they could say, you weren't on the list this week. Or, oh, I saw you're on the list. And then Rhonda will email me and say, hey, Bryce, I think you happened to miss this one. The good news is I'm in Spring Hill 5 days a week. So if I have a missed trash pickup, a yard waste pickup, a recycle pickup, or bulk, whatever it may be, I'll have a truck in the area. So that's a good thing on that.
How much would you say the bulk pickup is used?
Oh, Johnson County, we probably average anywhere from 70 to 100.
Oh, wow. In 1 day?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I mean. Sometimes I'm hauling 2 truckloads out of here on a Wednesday.
Okay.
So I have the capacity for hours and tonnage. I think tonnage-wise, we average about 11 to 12 ton a month, just on bulk.
Wow.
Which is a crazy amount, absolute crazy amount. So, honest to God truth, I would get rid of it in a heartbeat if you want to. But I think you guys would have a revolt, don't you? If you guys got rid of it, your town has depended on this. I'm actually an old L&K. My parents own L&K Services. So I've been with you guys since 2008. And honestly, that's the #1 requested service you guys have in town is the free bulk pickup.
Okay.
So, and it's a minimal cost on it. And like those prices you had up there, some of those weren't exactly correct, but
It's on their website.
I know, who knows, but on that stuff, really, your guys' rate is competitive with all of our other cities, if not less than our other cities. And you guys got that monthly bulk item collection, and you have yard waste collection too, which is a tough thing to schedule around because it's so up and down, having the staffing, the capacity. Because when we get in heavy yard waste season, sometimes we're hauling 3 loads out of here in a day, and I have to take that clear over to Belton, Missouri, to compost facility. So it's a lot to plan around on that stuff.
Okay.
So
You never think about trash, though. I mean,
Yeah, it's,
our thing is we've had some changes in utilities, and I think that's one reason I wouldn't want to change necessarily, because we've had some changes that were tough for some folks. So, you know, looking at this, what's the 2-year contract look like as far as increases? It, you know, on here it says what, $1 per month change?
The contract allows them to increase the rate to us by the amount of the
water, trash, sewer.
the water, trash, sewer rate in the consumer price index, and that's been 3 to 4%
Okay.
since we've had this contract. So I would expect to see 4% increases for the next 2 years.
Okay. So probably
That you're
$2 a
approving tonight, that Exhibit A, I think is just below 4%, maybe 3.5% increase over our 2026 rates.
4.8, I think is what it said, right?
Yeah. Was it 4.8?
Yeah.
Okay.
101.
Sorry about that, misspoke.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like sticking with it for 2 more years, only because, like I said, we've had other changes, and too many changes at once can really probably cause that. We had one that the water one really
It was tough.
really
Still
was
is.
tough for a lot of people, and so to get this figured out, give us a couple years. Maybe we talk about looking at what we want to be involved in, what we don't want to be involved in. There's other cities that are and they aren't. So I think this kind of pushes the buck out. But I do think RFP process wise, I would like to see what that looks like. So I don't know.
Now or later?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if we go out and see what the pricing looks like and say we're
just checking.
Yeah, just checking to make sure we're getting competitive pricing. I think we are, so that's why I don't know if it's worthwhile.
From my perspective, listening to what's been talked about, I don't have a intimate knowledge with picking up trash and moving it around and what it takes to process it, but I have a general understanding of what it takes to run a business, and us being locked into something close to 2021 prices in any market is
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's a good thing right now.
If we're really going to lock it at these increases, I think for 2 years we're probably
And another thing too on those rates, when we put those carts into place, and we were actually charging $3 extra for a trash cart.
I was gonna say, it was like $5, right?
For a recycle cart. So legitly, if you look at your rate today compared to 2021, and if you're renting both carts, it's almost the exact same rate that you had 5 years ago.
Right.
If you're renting carts, yeah.
I think, me personally, I'm happy with the services we're getting provided. I know that there's always going to be some people who struggle with the scheduling. It is a complex thing. Just us even mentioning changing scheduling, your head went no really, really quick. It's a complicated thing. We've got a lot of houses. We've got a lot of people. I think right now they're doing us a service. They're helping us pay for our customer service side of things here too, which is a huge boon. I think right now what's best for the city is approving this and moving forward with them for at least the next 2 years.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the 2-year extension of the contract with Waste Management dated 12/9/21 and updated Exhibit A for 2027 and authorize the mayor to sign the documents.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0-0. We've got, one more here. Consider approval of task order with HDR for grant assistance and authorize staff to submit grant applications to the U.S. Department of Transportation and Kansas Infrastructure Hub for the Safe Streets for All implementation grant program.
There's a lot bundled into this next item, so I'm going to try to break it up for you guys. About a year ago, we adopted our Safe Streets for All program. In that program, we had several recommendations. Those recommendations included some policies, procedures, creating committees, changes that we could do internally to make a difference in our community. We also had several projects that were outlined in that program. Some of them were, county projects that needed to improve some of the roadways in and around our community. They were city roadways to make some improvements to our city streets, and then the state highways. We continue to seek funding for all of those projects, and I'm trying to do that. So we received the notice of funding request for the USDOT Safe Streets for All implementation grant. This is a limited time only. I believe they've only got just a few more years left. If this may be the last year for it, but they've got some implementation grant funding available to improve the safety of the streets, and the fact that we've got an adopted program helps us with the grant process. We identified several projects last year and went through the process to apply for about $11 million in grant funding. We were extremely close in getting that grant funded. We were highly rated in our application. We got some really good feedback during our debrief, but we just did not get enough funding. We didn't get any funding. There were so many projects that we were up against. So this round, we're taking a lot of that feedback that we got from the debrief into consideration and updating our application. We're focusing on just a few project areas so that we could make the most of this, trying to make it a little bit more desirable. We had $11 million last time. If we were under 10, we were informally told that we probably would have been awarded. So we're going to try to stay lowish so that they'll award us some money.
Do you like $9.99?
$9.99.99. Yes. So we've got, as you guys know, South Street sidewalk from Millview to Webster. It's on everybody's list. I've actually got another grant opportunity that we just received invitation to go to the second round with the Transportation Alternatives funding through KDOT for South Street. I'm putting all of my eggs in that basket. I'm trying to get funding every which way. So hopefully we can get the state funding on that project and pair that up with this federal funding for the Safe Streets for All so that we can make sure we get that done. So I have identified that as potential projects since that rated really, really high with our SS4A program last year. So again, with the funding process, there's a lot of different things that we need to do. Through the Kansas Infrastructure Hub, they have what's called a grant assistance program that gives communities like ours the ability to hire a professional grant writer to help us put our best foot forward with these grant applications. The hub will reimburse the city for the cost of hiring that consultant. So the task order with HDR is twofold. It's to hire them and pay for them to help us out. In front of you should be a revised task order that has an amount of $13,808 for HDR. That is the revised amount for the task order. Since the publishing of the packet, we received the signed task order with a detailed scope. So that is under the $15,000 that I had estimated in the staff report. So we will be revising the motion to reflect that $13,808 for tonight. So the first part is to approve the task order with HDR. The second part is to apply for Kansas Infrastructure Hub funding to pay for 100% of that $13,808. So we'll get reimbursed for that. So we'll be at zero cost to apply for this grant. And then the next approval would be for us to apply for grant applications to get local match assistance through the Kansas Infrastructure Hub. So they've got some funding at the state level to help communities with their local match. And then the last part is to get authorization to apply for the USDOT grant. So hopefully we can get this down to where we're only paying maybe 2% of the project costs when it's all said and done, if we play our cards right.
I know it's a it's a lot of applying to apply again. I know it was 11 and some change, right? Is what we applied for.
It was.
The first go around. This time we're going to try and get under 10 million because that's much more favorable for us.
For what we had,
Probably just their
six or
cutoff.
seven different project areas that were $11 million. 3 of those were roundabouts, so
Okay.
we just wanted too big of a piece of the pie.
So what would we be taking out to try to get to that? Or a roundabout, one roundabout's about 11 million, you're saying?
No, 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 no.
You
One
were saying
roundabout-
with everything, it was, I thought everything
With everything,
combined.
it was $11 million, and that was 6 or 7 different project areas.
Yeah, it was
That
a bunch of
last
stuff,
year.
yeah.
This one is $2 million, $1 to $2 million. We're still working on the cost estimates for
Okay.
this to look at the sidewalk improvements. But with that being said, if we have access to the state grant and the federal grant, and then we have a little bit of money from our budget, maybe we can look at, instead of installing a sidewalk, we can look at maybe a complete street
Yeah,
improvement.
rehaul, yeah.
Maybe we could look at doing more along that corridor so that we can set ourselves up, maybe put sidewalk on both streets if there's enough room. You know, we can maybe look at.
Well, that's what I'm
that.
saying too. It sounds like we're just gonna shift from one grant to another, cause the one grant we need to get
Oh, I'm getting both.
underneath, yeah.
I'm getting
But
both.
that's what I'm saying, we're shifting it to make it so we can still get everything, or try to get everything. But yeah, this whole program, and were you on here, PJ, when we did, I know Mike was. And
A lot of you guys were involved, at least.
there's
with the
a
community.
ton of stuff in here, and I know we talked a little bit tonight about crosswalks and things like that. I mean, this has pretty much everything we can think of for the entire city, included in this SS4A program. So it's if we can get something like this going, it would be huge for all the different projects that we've talked about over the last couple months. So something obviously it'll be considered when we're doing our comp plan, discussions, but I think when we're doing our little town halls, Mike, this would be a good thing to make sure we have and say, this is what we're proposing, this is what we're going for grant funding, so that we're not beating a dead horse on certain areas that we've already identified, and try to find the areas new things that we want to try to find out there. But this is the SS4A was a cool process to go through, and I think if we can figure this out, it'd be great.
Well, I do want to say that we're coming upon, I think, June 12th was when it was adopted. So I'll be before you on June 11th. During our city council meeting, I'll be giving you a year in review with that SS4A, giving you some of the stats on where what the program was, what we've done to date, what we plan to do within the next year, just to kind of keep that alive in everybody's minds. Some of the discussion that we've had recently, there might be other projects that you guys would want us to
That we can start adding back in.
We could add that into this implementation grant. If we wanted to, we could look at 191st Street. Adding a crosswalk there, adding sidewalk there, that will require storm drains, curb and gutter. It's more than just plopping down a sidewalk on a piece of grass. So
it's weird. We looked at the roundabout through SS4A, but not necessarily, because the school, I think when we started that process, the school wasn't open yet. So it wasn't really the middle school wasn't quite open yet when we started that process. So it was kind of a weird deal. Again, we're trying to do things better as we go forward, because in the past our planning wasn't great. So, no, this is good. I think it's great. It should get reimbursed. This is one thing that Allison's really good at, is getting the grants and the money. And so if you can keep doing that.
Applying for them. I'm still working on trying to.
You've gotten a lot, though.
I've gotten a lot.
You've applied for more than you've
all of
gotten, but but yeah, you're working towards it. That's what we need. So this is good. I think it's a good thing.
Remind me what the cost difference was. I'm sorry, the number that you were giving. It was 13,000. How much?
$13,808.
I heard you right. Perfect.
Even?
Yes, even.
All right.
0 cents, Scott.
So is it this whole thing, or how does he need to read it?
I'm gonna read.
Verbatim?
My plan is to read that, or is to say it as noted in tonight's agenda with the adjusted amount of 13,000.
Perfect.
Better than me.
And the other thing that I would like to get from you guys is, like I said, I'm doing the South Street sidewalk. That's going to be the project this year. It's not going to be the 7 different projects that we did. It's not going to be all the projects listed in the SS4A. So I feel like South Street has been on everybody's mind for the last however many
30 years.
And that is a direct route to the schools. So I think that is a safe routes to school. That's an SS4A. I know we do have that safe routes to school grant that is also, I think, open right now. that might be a good one for this one, for South Street, and then also maybe the, Foxwood Ranch.
Okay, good. All right, I entertain a motion.
I move to approve agenda item 14 as listed on tonight's agenda with the adjustment of the amount to $13,808.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0-0. We had moved item number 10 to the end of formal action. Do we have any additional information to review for that item? He looks like he does.
Yes, thank you for an opportunity for some speed math. Okay, so going back to the specifically honing in on the parking lot work, that breaks out parking lot by parking lot. First, there are some lump sum fixed costs. There's a mobilization number in there. There's some money in a force account, which is just kind of miscellaneous things that might come up. Sometimes that we spend some of that, often we don't, and just a very small amount for some traffic control. So that's about $23,000 in those fixed costs, whether they do, and those are lump sum bids. So those are costs whether we do one parking lot or three or or four. So about $23,000 in those fixed costs. The aquatic center is, call it $82,000 worth of the total. So you put those two together, that fixed costs and the aquatic center, now we're up around 105,000 there. The city hall parking lot is about, I'm rounded up a little, but call it $17,000. The community center about 16,000, and about 6,000 to do that car wash site between Public Works and a police department. So I don't want to overpromise, but
so it's well below the 25%.
Well below the 25%, and honestly, I mentioned those fixed costs. 15,000 of that is that force account. I haven't spent force account money on a project that I've managed since I've been here. So if we don't spend that force account money, you could pave that fourth parking lot at no additional cost, still within that number. So that's kind of how they break out parking lot by parking lot.
Yeah, with those costs in mind, I'd probably just build in like a 10% cover to make sure it can be included. That'd be my opinion, but whatever you guys think.
So we'd, Spencer, just for kind of guidance on how we would word this, since we're making a small adjustment here, we'd be looking to approve that project as its entirety and then not to exceed an additional 10% on top of the original costs.
Well, really, if we're doing the whole thing, probably 5. You probably wouldn't need more than 5%. Because we're talking about 300, not the 138.
Right.
So I would say 5% maybe.
5% work for you, Jacob?
Sure.
Yeah.
You feel like that's well within the range that you'd be able to get it done?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's...
No, I like the idea of lumping
17
it all
grand.
together. Like I said, timeline for me is everything, Jacob, as long as we're doing things in an appropriate way so we're not getting in the way of peak swim season. I'm cool.
Sure.
Yeah, and why don't you add in what the additional 5%, what project that's going to?
All right.
So the minutes can be clear.
How do we want to?
Do you want a dollar amount? Do you want percentages? What works best?
How quick can we do math? A dollar amount's cleanest.
Right.
Yeah.
So instead of doing 5%, we can say 17,000. It's like 16 and change. So just say an additional 17,000 for. Yeah, it's like right at 17.
So 5% over that 339 number would be 356, 860, and 35 cents.
Just round it up to 5,000 for.
Well, no. What was it you said?
$356,860.35.
Yeah, make it 360.
Just make it even not to exceed $360,000.
Yeah, and including that.
To include, and how do you want to, Glenda? How do you want us to label that particular project?
So you're gonna What are you gonna be doing with the?
For the amount, we're gonna not to exceed $360,000.
It's for the new, the car wash that we're tearing down and putting in a parking lot.
Okay, so you're gonna tear it down and you're gonna pave it.
I think this is just the paved portion.
Oh, this is just the paved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is just the asphalt bid, so yeah, just,
How do we want, what do we want to label the project as? Just Public Works new parking lot?
Sure.
Nichols and Main parking lot.
Nichols and Main parking lot.
That way Jacob doesn't try to
That's right.
pave another park.
Yeah.
Right, fair enough.
And the chief wants me to shake.
Jacob's like, I was
Yeah, I
told
hear-
that I
I
was
hear
able
there's
to do a
some
parking
sharing
lot wherever I
involved here, so-
wanted. Next time, Jacob, just include it.
No, I think it's a good idea.
No, I think it is.
Thank you so much for being flexible with us.
Yeah, thanks for working on it.
Mayor,
Are you ready?
are you ready?
I'm ready. So I'm ready to entertain a motion for item number 10.
So I'm gonna read this very carefully and very slowly, so please bear with me here. All right, I move to accept all bids for the 2026 Mill and Overlay project to include the Nichols and Main parking lot project and award the contract to All Pro Asphalt and Maintenance LLC in an amount not to exceed $360,000 and authorize the mayor and staff to execute the necessary documents.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. A quick second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0-0.
That sounded good. Sweet.
That concludes our formal council action for tonight. We will move on to a discussion item.
Mayor, before we get into
Oh,
this,
do you wanna take a break?
could we take a quick break?
Let's take a 5-minute break. Lane was ready to jump up and go. Yeah, I'll entertain a motion for a 5-minute break.
I move to recess for 5 minutes to return at 9:01 for a restroom break.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. Back, it is 9:01 PM. Next up is a discussion to discuss year-round fireworks sales, and Lane Massey will be presenting.
I'll be introducing.
Introducing.
Council, Mayor, last week we were approached by a local businessman who was interested in extending fireworks sales throughout the year on a wholesale basis. The mayor and I had met with him. As with many things in life, that seems like a very easy request. However, there are some code issues that we need to have a discussion about. Mike is going to be coming up to go over some of those items. I don't know that we need to make a decision this evening. The main thing that we need to do is to authorize the mayor to sign a application with the fire marshal's office so that they can start the process of looking into whether they can even do it in the building or not. And that's about a 6-week process. Mike, Director of Community Development, will step up here and give a presentation about some of the things that we need to look at as far as codes and the process that'll look at. So, any questions? I'll be here to answer them, and Mike will also be going over it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the introduction, Lane. So these are some of the issues, just quickly off the top of our head, and kind of a summary of our current fireworks ordinances that we have in the city. So I'll try. It's a ton of text, but I didn't want to leave anything out. So that's why I provided handouts to each of you. I'll just hit some of the highlights right now. Fireworks sales, our fireworks retail sales facilities are only allowed in the city on a temporary basis. Through a temporary stand, canopy, membrane structure, or other approved structures. The sale of fireworks is only allowed in the city between the dates of June 27th and July 5th of each year, and only between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. Fireworks sales are permitted in the CO, C1, and C2 or zoning districts, as well as MP and M1. Fireworks. The facilities for the sale have to be located more than 300 feet away from any residential structure or 50 feet away from any building or structure. Parking is at one space per 200 square feet, which is standard for normal retail parking. And all parking has to be off of the public road and in the parking lot of the facility, or we do allow the parking on grass for the fireworks stands. Solid waste has to be picked up. Portable toilets may be used for sanitation, and all temporary structures and remaining fireworks have to be removed from by July 7th. As far as zoning goes, we do not have any land use right now that would specifically, in our code, that would be specifically allowing of permanent retail fireworks sales. We would have to make an interpretation that it would fall under one of these types of uses, whether it be retail limited, which is more similar to clothing and shoe stores or household furnishings, hardware, sporting goods, hobby supplies, things of that nature. Retail general, which is the next step up that allows more types of uses, includes grocery stores, department stores, furniture stores, carpeting, floor covering stores, things of that nature. There's also uses for warehousing and also wholesale and business services. And then I've also included those zoning districts in which they are allowed. Depending on how the governing body would like us to proceed with that, we would probably be looking to at least amend the code to make it more clear that if this is something that the governing body would like to do, that we amend one of these sections of the code to make it crystal clear that these are allowed, rather than basing it upon the community development director's interpretation sitting today, because somebody else might be in this role 10 years from now and make a different interpretation. So I think just to be fair to any type of business, we should be clear when we need to be clear.
Yeah. And to be clear about this is all stemmed from a Kansas state law that has recently changed.
That's correct.
That is allowing fireworks sales throughout the year.
Yes.
So these, and can we talk about the location at all tonight? Is that okay?
Sure.
Well, it's currently within C2 zoning, right? Or is it M1?
We will get that answer for you shortly.
Is it M1 over there?
Yeah. I believe.
Spencer's shaking his head no at me, but we're gonna talk a little bit.
No, I think it's fine to discuss the current proposed location for zoning. I wouldn't get too far into where in town it is. It's at this corner, it's at this address, because this is a code change that will apply citywide. So we don't want to make this code change, and we are not discussing this code change because one specific business owner has asked to have one specific business.
Can we expand the distances for this code change for a year-round site relative to what the temporary sites are?
As in like distances from other
From residential or other buildings, things like that, because it is gonna be year-round. So
Absolutely.
we can say, hey, it needs 30 feet's not enough if it's gonna be all the time. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we can craft the language in whatever way is deemed necessary to help make it compatible with surrounding land uses.
Mhm.
But Spencer does bring up a good point. This wouldn't be crafting language
For this
just
particular.
one business on one property. We don't regulate competition, and so this would open it up for any permanent fireworks sales.
So that's where we gotta think about some of those things where,
Right.
you know, what do we wanna have as available? I don't necessarily see an issue with having a year-round fireworks sales. I'd like to get the sales tax all year. That's fine to me. I don't think they're gonna be selling, we're not gonna change any discharge dates, things like that. It would strictly be us selling it instead of Harrisonville or, you know, whoever it is that's KCK. I think KCK offers it now. So
Right, so
that's where, for me, I'd like to look at some of those things of recommendations on what distance would be from residential, schools, other businesses, things like that, just to make sure if that building caught on fire, what protections do we have, you know?
Right. So the new state law that you just mentioned, Mayor, so there's the temporary side, that the state fire marshal expanded the dates for temporary sales. So that's one kind of discussion topic if you so choose. But now Kansas law does allow year-round fireworks on a permanent basis. They need to operate in a building or structure with a permanent foundation now, and shall not operate in any temporary structure. They're required to complete the registration with the state fire marshal, as Lane mentioned. The applicant has to submit a certified letter from the city or county where they would be located that they are going to comply with all of the applicable local rules and regulations. And permanent fireworks retailers are not permitted to sell or store fireworks in a school, daycare facility, any motor vehicle, any facility containing a space or portion thereof classified as an assembly occupancy.
So it couldn't be in a strip center type thing, right? It has to be a standalone building, is that what that means?
No, it technically could, but it couldn't have any of those uses in that strip center.
Okay.
They would need, so fireworks retailers must continue to purchase wholesale fireworks only from fireworks who have a distributor's license. So depending upon how any one potential fireworks retailer on a permanent basis wanted to operate their business, whether it was just selling to consumers at a retail level, or if they wanted to do wholesale to people who are then going to resell them at a retail scale or level, or even the temporary stores, how much they're gonna store on site, things of that nature would all be rolled into kind of this discussion topic. So some of the items that we've identified that we would need to take a look at and evaluate when we're looking at changing the codes. We would need to amend the fireworks regulations of the city code, and also more than likely the zoning regulations. We'd need to make sure they comply with building codes, fire codes, things of all that nature to ensure safety. We'd need to differentiate permitted or permanent sales versus seasonal sales, address the year-round storage requirements, and work with the fire district on what types of, because storing that many flammable things, hence the setback for the temporary structures. if they're stored too much, it can trip into that hazardous building occupancy. And so that then triggers additional building code requirements. We need to look at enforcement provisions, indoor versus outdoor sales, separation from residential land uses and other land uses which may not be appropriate for a fireworks store year-round. Which zoning districts we would want to allow these in by right, whether it's C1, C2, M1, MP. Again, the building and fire code concerns, retail versus wholesale, days of week and hours, and also signage. You know, just myself driving to the Lake of the Ozarks every summer, there's a lot of these fireworks stores that have massive signage down on 50 Highway. And so us taking a good look at what other jurisdictions and communities do allow for year-round sales and the signage to make sure that we're in keeping with the spirit of Spring Hill Sign Code.
Yeah, those are some of the things I thought about was, I wouldn't want to have big signs, almost be more stealthy about it than anything else. I don't know if I'd want to be distributors necessarily. I'd probably want more of a retail style, so that we're not dealing with the huge amounts. But basically what I was kind of told was that there's large purchasers for retail shows and things like that is kind of the market that these year-round sellers look for. So that's more of what they're doing rather than walk-in. I don't even think a lot of them have walk-in hours. They're more of like make an appointment, come in, we'll talk about what you're looking for type thing. So that means there's not gonna be a ton of traffic necessarily, which would be something I'd wanna look at. I don't know if we have the ability to make those restrictions where hours have to be reasonable. We don't want late night hours and stuff like that. We don't want huge signs. I would want to have probably more aggressive setbacks than what we have currently for the temporary sales. So those are some of the things I thought about. I don't know what your initial thoughts are here.
Yeah, nobody in here likes fireworks more than I do, but I'm kind of worried that we're gonna have people that are gonna be lighting off fireworks when they're not supposed to here in town, unless we can enforce that by our law enforcement. I'm kind of a little hesitant on this. So,
Mike?
I think as far as like the difference between retail and wholesale kind of makes me a little nervous just by the sheer quantity that they'd have to store on site, and versus like a retail facility, they wouldn't have as much. It's kind of where I'm sitting.
I like where we're at, presenting it the way you're presenting it. This is simply a discussion item at this point. There is a litany of situations and things that we have to go through, weighing ordinance changes, zoning changes. Those are all going to take time. They're going to require a lot of detailed conversations. I'm not in the business of standing in the way of people that want to make money in our city, especially because sales tax helps us do things. Doing so in a responsible way is kind of my whole concern. So I'm okay with moving forward with looking into what this would look like. I would also I like that you said that you were going to be looking at other cities that are already allowing this. I don't like to try to reinvent the wheel. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and the first thing that I want to do when I'm trying to do something new is find people that are already doing it and seeing what's successful for them. So as the presentations come up, detailed examples of the different cities in Missouri that are doing this successfully, different cities in Kansas that are doing it successfully, I would love to see those comparisons, see what's working for them, see what problems they're getting, if there's a way we can communicate with their administrators, their police departments, as far as enforcements and things goes, and just kind of get as much information as we can gathered about these different changes. I'm open to talking about this. I am not in support of or against it, because at this point we don't have enough information to see what it's going to look like.
And my main thing is, we're talking about codes. It's a lot of explosives. I want to make sure our code book is brought into the 21st century before we start making decisions on that, because, we are working with big bombs.
is there an age limit to buy fireworks? Where's that?
I think it's 18, because I know my daughter wasn't able to buy them last year.
Really?
Yeah, I had to go back with her, at least at the stand she went to. Amy, do you know? Yeah. All I know is it turned her away and I had to go back with her to buy it.
I definitely see a path forward with doing this in a responsible way, but we gotta make sure that we're getting all of our ducks in a row before we even decide.
Yeah, my initial response was, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds great. And then I'm like, yeah, well, we gotta think about all these other things. It's not so easy to just say, oh yeah, we'll do it.
Right.
Yeah, until chief calls us and is mad at us because people didn't set model rockets off for the last 3 days.
Yeah, regardless of what you do, you're gonna see a change just doing the golf carts. You know, we've had in the last 2 years, we've had kids that are like 12, 13 driving around golf carts, even though we said day one, you have to be a licensed driver.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be those growing pains whenever you make any big change like this, so
Yeah.
just getting the information together is where I think it's a good start.
So I guess the question here is, do you want me to sign the form that they can move forward with at least the process with the state fire marshal, or do we want to wait until we work through it a little bit more?
I feel like a consensus is we're okay with pursuing the information, so if that's part of the picture that you're gonna need, then we're okay with you pursuing those.
If it's just for the
Not to speak for
information,
everybody.
Yeah.
It's just for information and nothing
Yeah.
else, yeah.
I didn't want to sign anything until we had kind of an idea of what everybody.
It's not gonna be signing those.
Exactly, yeah, it was.
Applications aren't gonna commit us to
Spencer, did you look at that form?
I did look at the form.
Are we agreeing to anything by me signing that, or is it?
I think at this point, the form that we've been asked to sign is a certification that it complies with our city ordinances.
Uh-oh.
And it doesn't,
Yeah, it does.
because we don't allow it. And that was the impetus for me for saying, let's,
So yeah, we
clean
need
this
to,
up for you
yeah,
all.
we would need to go through and update everything first then.
All right, at this point, we're in an information gathering, we're not in a.
I thought it was more of just to see if the, if the state would approve it in this area. But, yeah, no, if that's the case, then yeah, we're gonna have to. So maybe put some proposals together of what, I mean, in my mind, I would think C2, M1 MP. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that as far as zoning goes.
I think the research stage is the point. Look at what how other cities set it up, and what their allowances are, and
It's probably gonna be all Missouri
I would-
right now.
I would
because
love-
Kansas just changed it.
I would love to hear a more like detailed and comprehensive recommendation.
Okay, yeah, we can certainly do that.
The things I know I'm not okay with is the current setbacks and the signage. I wouldn't wanna have the big gaudy signs like we have going to the Ozarks.
Mhm.
So,
Certainly. Yeah, we can do that.
all right,
All of that put together and do the research and bring it back to you.
cool. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. That was our only discussion item tonight. We now have one executive session. And that, let me see who's on there. I wanted to add Allison to that. So just to add Allison to the people in attendance. 10 minutes is still good, or do we need 15? 10. Let's go 15, just so we don't have to come back and change it. Ivan's gonna push us out.
I'll have more questions.
All right, I move to the city council recess into executive session for 15 minutes for a preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property pursuant to KSA 754319B6 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume the city council chambers at 9:35. No formal action is anticipated following the session. Persons to be in attendance are the following: Lane Massey, Mike Malone, Spencer Lau, and Allison.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0-0. glad I added 5. We've reconvened into open session in the city council chambers at 9:35 PM. No discussions were made, or discussions were had, but no decisions were made. With that, we don't have anything else on the agenda. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed 4-0.